Yeah, that's what he always said. No way. So I used to run the majority, so
Here we go. Okay, good.
there we go. You know, he always late.
Good jokes.
You know what time he on. I ain't gonna say it loud. Thank you, sir.
Good evening to all of you, and thank you all for being here this evening. It's 5:01. It is time for us to begin our Finance Committee meeting. We're so happy and pleased to have all of our council persons here, our administrator, our county, our clerk of council, our attorney, and all who are present in the audience. The first.
I need forbearance on this one, so if we can take the minutes off the agenda. That's right.
Okay. So we will remove the minutes from tonight's agenda, and the clerk will provide those in an upcoming meeting. Item 2, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, could we take them, I got a question on 2C. Can we do 2A, B, D, E, and F? I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So 2C, can I get a next one? This is just what we doing on, I thought we'd already did something on Woodland.
$3.4 million.
Woodland Shores. Yeah, I thought we'd already did something on there, but what are we doing now?
Yes, sir, so that's a CHATS. That's a CHATS funded project, 80% funded, federal funds, 20% from the county. Sidewalk, multi-use path along Woodland Shores, also tying into Maybank with a mid-block crosswalk, right at the intersection near the courthouse to make that connection.
Is this so the state, the CTC is paying for this? Not the
Correct.
county?
That's correct. CTC is funding most of the 20% match. There's a little delta there that'll be funded through the annual allocation program, the bike ped program, which is the transportation sales tax.
And this is a state road?
Woodland Shores is a county road. Maybank, the portion of Maybank is a state road.
Okay.
Councilwoman Honeycutt?
Yes, Mr. Pryor, I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that this project actually came about, started as soon as I got on council. You may recall in February of 2019, we lost a dear friend of the community, David Massey, at an intersection, crashed with a vehicle when he was trying to cross the intersection between the Poorhouse and the TRS Theater. And we stood on that county, on that corner of Woodland Shores and Maybank the next week, and worked with our colleagues at the city and CHATS and to see what we could do to improve the walkability in that area, because there's a lot of commerce that's easy to walk to and from, but there's also a lot of cars traveling in that intersection. And the solution for that was a raised median in the middle of Maybank Highway in that location, and a crosswalk that would take you across. It's offset somewhat. You see a lot of those on Coleman Boulevard. And then, as that the progress was made, it became apparent that tying in the sidewalks through Woodland Shores to our project at Riverland Drive would bring connectivity. And so these are both of those projects all in one. Of course, we learned last year that because of the escalating costs that we would need additional funds, and CHATS, Mr. Sass was chairing CHATS, and they were able to come up with the additional resources to help meet the contract price that we have before us.
Okay, so total the county is spending is what? Couple of $1 million?
I think it totals about 3.4.
Okay, well, all right.
187,303,000.
The reason I'm asking these questions is because if it's a county road, I don't mind spending it because, I want to try to service all kind of we can, because us not having the extra money now, the state's going to have to take on some of their responsibility on these state, funded roads. And so, I'm in concurrence with this as long as it's not coming out of all of our coffers, $180,000 coming out of the transportation sales tax, that's fine. Now, this is not, and I'm glad this is not over there where we did on, what's the road over there? That we were talking about.
Central Park in Riverland.
Central Park, yeah. This is not Central Park. We already got that straightened out with Central Park with the plan that they came, so this is different from Central Park.
Yes, sir. The sidewalk on Woodland Shores will connect into what's going on
But
Riverland.
no property taken.
No, sir.
Okay.
I mean, we've already handled all that, not in this motion.
Yes, okay. Okay.
It's on.
All right, thank you so much. Is there a motion?
Well, I still like to know, was any property taken at all? of anything. I don't care what, was any property taken?
There was some property along Woodland Shores that was dedicated by the residents. So where they were willing to dedicate, we have a wider sidewalk, 8 feet. Where they were not, we narrowed it down to avoid any property acquisition. That was also due to the CTC funding, which there's a stipulation with that funding that we can't use that for right-of-way acquisition.
So no one was forced?
That's correct. No
Okay,
one was.
thank you, sir.
So just reiterating, the total project cost is,
The total bid before you tonight is just over 3.6 million.
county's only portion that is 187?
Actually, the county portion for the construction order is about 18,000. That's it. The CTC is covering 731, and then Chats is about 2.9.
Makes it a little better.
Yeah, a lot.
Where's Adam Friend?
Mr. Chair, move to approve 2C.
Probably moved. Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Item 3, boards and commissions.
Move for committee recommendation. Second. I'm sorry, this is committee. Move for approval items A through C.
Right.
So,
We
move.
got to do, I'm sorry.
Right, A and B.
You're appointing them.
I'm sorry.
This is something different here now.
That was the other ones.
Hang on a sec.
You gotta take C at least separate.
Yeah, C got to be
And
separate.
B, move for
Right.
approval A and B.
Second.
Probably moved by
Mr. Moody, seconded by Mr. Boykin. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair, on 3C, may I nominate Ms. Massey and Mr. Williams?
Probably moved.
No, well, let's just open. You don't need a second. I'm going to nominate Jamila Harper and Craig Askew, because he is the incumbent.
Mr. Chairman, I'll nominate.
No, I'm sorry, one council minority appointees. All right, so, all right, I'm going with Askew and Harper.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Kearney.
Are any of them here today?
Are any, okay, if you would like to come up and just say a word, please state your name and your address.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Summer Massey. I live at 747 Trent Street in the Melrose subdivision in your district, Mr. Chairman. And I am seeking reappointment for the BCD COG Board. I have experience in the transportation industry. I think this is my third term that I'm seeking reappointment, and it's an honor to serve at this board. My attendance has been, I believe, 100%, and I take my service at this board very seriously, and it's a great commitment, and I'm seeking your support for reappointment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir?
Good evening. My name is KJ Kearney. It's Michael Kearney Jr. on the application, but KJ is what I go by. I'm a resident of 2971 Nantucket Avenue in North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm already a member of the COGS Transit-Oriented Design Advisory Commission. I'm a community organizer with a nonprofit called Charleston Promise Neighborhood. So I'm already involved with the southern end of North Charleston's neighborhood associations, bringing them information. So this would just add to my ability to help the community find out what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. I am Jamila Harper, a resident and a homeowner in Chicora Cherokee neighborhood in North Charleston. Thank you for your time today. I have over 15 years of experience in community and international development, and I've worked on initiatives that bridge local vision with regional as well as international and national resources. Currently, I serve as an advisory role with the Charleston Area Transportation Study, the Thriving Communities Grant, which is with the Department of Transportation, which is situated within the COG. I also work with Metanoia as the COO. I lead efforts focused on economic development as well as affordable housing, leading implementation and planning, and looking forward to aligning these key areas of Charleston County and the COG mission. I also am the daughter of a Navy veteran who served at the Charleston Navy Shipyard, and I am deeply connected to the history and the future of this region. So thank you so much for your time today and your consideration.
Yeah. How many we get to vote for, 2 or 1?
Four.
For 4, oh, 4. Oh, my.
5.
And there are 5.
Okay, just
Yeah, you say no more. I thought it was 2 to make my decision a whole lot easier, okay.
Mr. Chair?
All right, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
And you just name your candidates, whatever the case.
Yeah. So I'll call your name and you can vote for up to 4. Mr. Boykin,
Massey and Williams.
Mr. Darby,
Kearney, Harper.
It's 4, right?
it's 4.
It's 4, yes.
Mrs. Honeycutt,
Harper, Kearney, Massey, and Williams.
Mr. Kabrowski,
Askew, Harper, actually, Kearney and Williams.
okay. Mr. Moody,
Summer Massey and Mr. Williams.
Mr. Pryor,
I'm going with Massey, Kearney, Harper, and Askew.
Mr. Sass,
Summer Massey, Melvin Williamson, and Harper.
Mr. Warman,
Askew, Harper, Kearney, and Williams.
Ma'am, please forgive my misjudgment. I'll do, like to add Massey and Askew.
yes, sir. Mr. Middleton,
Askew, Kearney, Massey, Williams.
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the 4 nominees are Harper, Kearney, Massey, Williams. 5, 6,
I'm sorry.
7.
Okay.
Harper, Kearney, Massey, Williams.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you very much. Item,
There's no need for them to come back on Tuesday because
Yeah.
this nomination automatically goes in without any opposition. So that way they don't have to waste their time in coming back.
you don't have to come back on Tuesday. Item 4, St. Paul's Fire District.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve 4A and 4B.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you so much. And as it relates to the executive session item,
Chair,
yes.
instead of executive session, I'd like to move to authorize the county attorney to finalize a settlement agreement in the AMDG 17 North versus County BZA, granting the appellants the 2 variances requested at the June 30th, 2024 BZA meeting with the following conditions. Number 1, prior to zoning permit approval, the owners shall complete the site plan review process. And number 2, prior to the zoning approval, the owners shall obtain a certificate of historic apprenticeness from the Charleston County Historic Preservation Commission and authorize the chairman to execute all documents necessary for the settlement agreement.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it.
Second, if I can have a discussion, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
refer to you.
yeah,
Raise
come
your
right
hand.
on.
You were first, go ahead.
Yeah, let me also just note, for the public, as it relates to executive session as needed, we noted that we want to do a lot of these debates in public, and so thank you, Mr. Pryor, for making that motion, and Mr. Boykin for seconding it, and for us having this conversation out in public.
And the reason I made this motion is because it was explained that our staff had recommended this for approval, but the BZA, I think, was misinformed. I got misinformation.
Right.
And so anytime the BZA makes a decision, it has to come back to council. And so that's why I made this motion, because it should have originally been granted anyway.
And this matter is just an administrative
Error.
Correct. And as a result, why go in my opinion, why go in executive session for that when we could just move it on, right? It would have taken 30 minutes to go back there and come back just for that purpose.
Say no more.
Mr. Vice Chair Kabrowski?
Well, Well, I wanted to have a discussion on it. It is, and I thank that we're showing openness and not going to executive session. I think that shows a good faith step forward to do this in public. This is in my district, and it's in northern Mount Pleasant, and it's a spot, an area that I've gone by probably thousands of times in my life, and I've seen our area, particularly there, transform from a rural bucolic area to one of intense development and commercialization. This is, many people would know this site as the Boone Hall Market, which is in front of it. And I understand, and respectfully from what everybody said today, that I would want to be on record as voting no for the same reason that I say not to do the one on Bohicket Road, that I voted consistently, because this would, as I understand the variance from the conversations, that it's a variance as, if we grant the variance, there will then be 9,000 square feet of commercial building allowed, and if we say no to that, there will not be allowed 9,000 square feet of commercial development on that property. In that area of northern Mount Pleasant, and we just had, again, all the thing about the traffic and congestion, and my concern is if we allow this variance for commercialization, 9,000 square feet, that we set a precedent that the area just north of that will say, well, they have the extra 9,000 square feet of commercial development, why not me? And it could leapfrog all the way to McClellanville, and this is an area that is intensely overdeveloped in my lifetime that I've been here, and I have to say that we've been over-commercialized there, overdeveloped, and I'm reluctant to set a precedent for one 9,000 square feet, because then we couldn't say no to the next one, and we're battling there to preserve the traffic concerns, development concerns, and this is, to me, would put us on a road to where I don't want to be. And if I'm incorrect of what I'm saying, please let me know that the variance would allow, and that's what this is about, 9,000 extra square feet of commercial development. And if we say no, it would not take place. And for that reason, I don't want to, insert 9,000 more square feet of commercial development into something then that I can't say no, that going north and north and north, and people wonder how you wake up and see things change. It's one step at a time, and I have to think years ahead. People no longer remember us, but they'll remember this is one cog in the end of what's left of the rural nature, because we won't be able to stop it. That's why I respectfully put my position. It is in my district, so thank you, and no disrespect for what everybody else says, but please let me know if I'm wrong on the consequence of this.
Mr. Pryor?
Mr. Vice Chair, this property is already zoned commercial, and by right, they had the right to do what they're asking us to correct. It was a clerical error that caused them to have to come back to us. And so if I'm mistaken, the way it was explained to me, the Madam Attorney can explain it, but by right, they already had the zoning, that's why staff approved it, but it was a clerical error that when it went to the BZA, that had to be corrected. Once the BZA makes the decision, there's no appellate, it has to come back to County Council for final decision. So Madam Attorney, if am I wrong?
Sure, I'll make a few clarifications.
Okay.
I would not indicate that there was a clerical error. I would indicate that there's an easement and a parking buffer that existed prior to us adopting our ZLDR, which essentially puts this particular property owner in a situation that requires the variance if he wants to develop it. It is indeed a commercial property. It is zoned commercial. This is not a variance for the zoning. It's a variance in regards to the setbacks for the easement.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Orban?
Well, yeah, I don't think this is breaking new ground. Thank you, Ms. Ham, for that. I would maybe clarify that, like, I don't think generally BZA decisions have to come to council. I mean, this is a court case, is what this is. So this is settling a court case. And yeah, my understanding obviously is consistent with what Ms. Ham said, that it's not so much about whether it's zoned commercial or not. It's about probably them having to fit the commercial zoning within the site plan. Although I will say, Mr. Gabrowski, I'm sympathetic to your concerns. I mean, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like these are the rules that were in place and have been in place for some time. And so I actually err on your side of this, Mr. Gabrowski, but just maybe to clarify that, like, it is currently zoned commercial. And as we do, when we come up with these issues, there is always the option that the property owner might, I guess, level the whole thing. There's no multiple layers to that for this particular property in particular, but, and they could find another way to rearrange it, and it might, I don't know how they could, I don't know what the maximum is, but they could max out their development. So, my inclination is to just say the rules are the rules, and I don't really see a reason to divert from that, but, that is a risk out there, particularly if the motivation is just to more development in general focused. But anyways, that was more for general discussion and thought, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kabrowski, the Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial body. No decisions they make are reviewed by county council. They only come here via lawsuit and a settlement that follows thereafter. Staff have recommended approval because they saw, or at least in their estimation, that the restrictions placed upon that property unreasonably restricted it, and the setbacks were such that it probably made it nearly unbuildable if they had to abide by everything that was imposed on that property. So I think this is a reasonable resolution of this matter, and that's why I voted yes.
Mr. Moody?
Thank you, sir. Ms. Ham, two things for the non-attorney. Settlement by nature, and if you can't reply, you can't reply. I mean, this seems to me that somebody's getting a little bit of everything. If we say no, we're going to court. Is that correct?
That would be correct, yes, sir.
Okay. In which case we could lose and have it shoved down our throat, maybe.
Perhaps.
I see condition 2, and I agree with this with Mr. Pryor. If the County Historic Preservation Commission, what if they turn this thing down? We start this whole thing over again, I'm assuming?
If a lawsuit, it depends on how that goes. I can't.
I get it.
That is a process that has to play out.
Okay. I just wondered if we could have waited until after to make sure it cleared that, or does it have to go by BZA first?
It has to get this clearance first, yes, sir.
I'm good. Thank you, ma'am.
Vice Chair Gabrowski?
And I respect the other members who brought their points all have good, valid points. I respect their opinion, but I would just ask again that, well, first, that the buyer knew that he needed a variance to do this. When he bought the property, he knew what the rules were, and he knew that the present as it was, unless he got a variance, he couldn't do what he's asking to do. And second, I just wanted confirmation that the point of the variance is, if we agree to this, there could be 9,000 more square feet of commercial development that if we say no, would not take place. I just want that on the record, because that's what makes me reluctant to do it in an area where it is too much anyway. So I just want a yes or no answer to that.
So the answer to your question is yes in this context, but it would not restrict him from completely deconstructing it is zoned commercial. So while your vote no on this particular matter may not allow this version of the 9,000 square feet, it doesn't mean that it doesn't allow for some other version.
I'm trying to think ahead like developers do and not set a precedent that I can't say no later when somebody wants to build 9,000 more square feet for a commercial development in this area and going all the way to McClellanville. And that's why I respectfully, with deference and respect for what everybody else said, I understand why they're saying it. And I hope they respect them. This is an area I passed thousands of times in my life here and means something deeply to me that I don't want to see change going north and affecting people's lives. So that's why I say that. And Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Ms. Honeycutt?
I just had a quick question about when a historic designation applies. So if we're imposing on this, is this in a historic district?
Sweetgrass. That was good.
By nature of the way that the historic preservation ordinance is written, because it is across from Boone Hall, it's in the buffer zone, so they will be required to
So
go
they're
through the-
subject to that already, even without us putting it in this
That
measure?
is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Darby?
Nothing said, sir.
All right. Mr. Sass, I do
Thanks.
apologize.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kropofsky, it is by right, and that is in my district. Thank you.
I stand corrected. Thank you. It isn't here. I go by so often, I assumed it was mine, and thank you for correcting me.
Excuse me. All right. It was properly moved and seconded. Let's do a roll call vote.
Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
Mr. Darby?
Nay.
Mrs. Honeycutt?
Aye.
Mr. Kabrowski?
Nay.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Warman?
Nay.
Mr. Middleton?
Nay.
Motion passes with 5 ayes and 4 nays.
All right, thank you all so very much, and we do appreciate the spirit of that debate. Normally on Thursday committee meetings, we don't have council comments, but we will have tonight. And so we're going to start with Mr. Boykin.
None for me, sir.
Thank you so much. Mr. Moody.
I have no words.
All right, good. Mr. Darby.
None, sir.
Mr. Orman.
I will just say, thank you for putting all of this stuff together. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to the clerk's office for sure. I think, having these reference materials that we're all sitting up here is a good idea. I would ask, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Rance soon, would ask that we put a housing committee meeting on, I guess not for next week, but for the week after. Just want to explore a number of the different, I think it's probably aren't overdue for an update, but I think we had one in December. But just to get things moving in the direction we've been moving forward and get a few of the trust fund and property related issues kind of moving forward as we've been talking about doing for some time. So hope we can do that and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Mr. Pryor.
I think I'm gonna wait till Tuesday.
All right. Mr. Sass.
Thank you, sir. 2 things. The first is we had a really well-attended swearing in for our new Charleston County Sheriff. I want to commend Eric for an incredible job and for our administrator for helping him get ready. And he gave y'all plenty of credit for that. But I think it was very well attended, and it was a big deal. So I'm glad we got to do that. The second thing is, as chair of the audit committee, we had talked in the past when there's a change in elected officials about doing an audit on the sheriff's department. Mr. Administrator, I'd like to put that in the so that when the new sheriff comes in, we can check it and make sure everything's right. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ms. Honeycutt.
Thank you. I had the privilege today of celebrating the life of one of our incredible team members here at the county, Kim Child C, who was in our, I apologize, on our finance team. And as most of you know, she, her father, and her brother were murdered right after Christmas. And it was incredible to see what a celebration of their lives there was, not just by their families, but by their county family. And we have some incredible people here, and this truly is a group that works together like a family, and it is an incredible privilege of mine to be a part of that and to have witnessed that today. It's hard for me to move on to things that aren't as important because that obviously puts things in perspective. Whew. But the next thing for the year for me and a priority as we move forward and on from our failed referendum last year is that we move in a direction to ensure success in 2026. And so I had asked that a proposal be added to the agenda, and I will renew that request publicly in this meeting to discuss how we do move forward in a way that will ensure transparency, a community-focused list of projects that are fair across the county, and as well make sure the public understands what our incredible team here has accomplished with the monies that we have collected through the prior 2 sales taxes as we move forward, because now we only have 23 months left to tell that story. So thank you for your time, and best wishes in your leadership, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. Vice Chair Kabrowski?
So congratulate our new sheriff, and that's a very big thing. I also, although just to thank the council for the honor of serving as vice chairman, named after my great-grandfather, Lazar Kabrowski, who came to this country with $5 in his pocket, never really learned to speak English, worked and lived in somebody's basement earning $1 a week or a month that he could bring over my grandfather and my great-grandmother, and this is something that he never could have imagined. So I take this as a great honor. I always feel I should kiss the ground of this country every day I'm alive, and I never take that for granted. And I just want to recognize the memory of my great-grandfather. I always carry his citizenship papers with me, and I never take that for granted. So it means a lot to me to be able to say that, and the promise of America, and something that we never could have imagined. And in the interest of going forward, I also want to make a motion for the, I guess, is it the Administrative Regulation Committee, to say that going forward, in the interest of transparency and openness, I'd like to make a motion that at the beginning of every council meeting, and actually at the beginning of every committee meeting, that we have something that every council member can look at and say they looked at the agenda, and to signify if they represent any industry or business that's affected by the policies that our regulations or actions that we are working on. I think not to recuse themselves necessarily, because there is laws on that, but I think in the open, so people know in the community, and transparency if it affects any of the industry or the businesses that they represent and what they do. And I think that the public would want to know that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chairman. And to all of you, let me thank you for your ongoing service and leadership to the county. I wanted to provide, at least in this reference manual, as we move forward, we have a lot of work to do, and we plan to use our committee meetings effectively, as well as our council meetings, as we have been doing in the past, continue doing so. Wanted to at least call your attention again to the rules of county council. Sometimes I think we need to be refreshed in that. And then in this packet, our council priorities that we set, a strategic plan for 25 through 27, noting these areas, the strategic priorities: infrastructure, workforce, quality of life, financial stability, public engagement and communication, public well-being, the American Rescue Plan Act. That's the blueprint by which I plan to at least navigate us as we move throughout this year, as we contemplate the budget. I did speak with the administrator and our attorney and clerk, but particularly the administrator, to make certain that even in the living document of our budget, which is a moral document, that all of these items that council has already put together as priorities, those things are prevalent and embedded in the budget. And so we have already discussed that as the budget, as the DCAs and or heads of the various components of the county turn in their requests by the 17th, The administrator and I will start at least our initial review of what he is working on as it relates to the budget, and just as a brief and that sort of thing. And so we look forward to receiving that so that by the time we get to March, it is not a Loctite document, that we have not at least made certain that those embedded areas are there. Also, I wanted to call your attention to the financial policies and procurement ordinances, the Housing Our Future plan, particularly as we look at all of the committees and the Housing Committee, those things that are strategies and areas in the Housing Our Future plan, those are the things that we are going to make certain that we can celebrate the wins of the things that we are doing well. The Climate Action Plan is a real document, making certain that our eyes are on the ball with those 5 big moves and all of those things that are a part of that plan as we begin looking at the things that we're doing from month to month throughout 2025, that we are in alignment with those plans. And then lastly, our Greenbelt comprehensive plan. Again, all of these plans should be pretty much the blueprint of the things, that we are using when we're putting items or asking or requesting for items to be placed on committees and or asking for consideration as council persons, making certain that these things fit in the framework of the things that we've set. I believe also the administrator has some documents that we will receive at this time as well. And so these are items that I really wish for you to pay close attention to. And so please receive this packet and we can discuss them more in detail at another time. I definitely plan to be transparent, open, honest, and above board. Not to say that things have not been above board, but I think that that becomes a metric of county government, that the things that we discuss, the business that we perform and enact, those things are done right here out front in public, because the people deserve to know what we're doing. And so please, if you will, I did ask council persons that if you have questions of me as I begin to work with our clerk and administrator and attorney, that we can begin to compile those items or those areas that may be beneficial for us to be briefed and informed about as we go along. I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this role. I mean, I just thank God for the ability to...
Well, since you have this role, sir, would you please go to the editorial staff of the Post and Courier and ask which one of these is Democratic and which one of these is Republican? Would you do that for me, please, sir?
Which one are these?
These priorities? Which one of these are Republican, which one Democrat, sir? I'm just wondering, sir.
When it comes to our Greenbelt programs, I hope we all can enjoy those. And so I do appreciate the opportunity to serve in this role. I will serve with everything that I have. Hit the ground running since last Thursday night, and I will continue to run on to see what the end is going to be.
Don't run out of gas.
I'm not going to run out of gas, Mr. Pryor.
Always question fast, always finish last, because we run out of gas. All right? So pace yourself.
Yes, sir.
I worry about you, but pace yourself.
Yes, sir.
Don't let it consume you. What I got to do, I'll call the administrator and ask that question.
I would
It's a
like
budget
to
question.
meet also with Ms. Honeycutt. I do have an answer based on your request. Ms. Honeycutt, the administrator, and Ms. Ham, and if you're available, Madam Clerk, please, if you would, very briefly, because we have some information for you. Anything else? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So adjourn. We'll move.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Good night.
Thank you.